All right. So, a little bit about what this is going to be today. I would love it if anyone would one turn on their camera so I'm not just talking to a bunch of names. Because this is going to be interactive. I'm going to be sharing your websites on the screen. So I would love to just actually be able to talk to you guys face to face and have a conversation. Um, so basically a little bit about me and a little bit about what this whole call is about. So you guys are on here as members from Food Bevy. So you most likely know Jordan. And I have done a handful of these with him as a way just to provide more value to the brands that are in the community. So, what I do is I'm a product photographer. And it's not about just saying, here's a pretty picture, put it on your Shopify site, and I hope you get sales. That's really not how it all works. There's a lot of cadence and strategy that goes behind how we want to make it so your photography is actually going to convert into sales. So we've been doing website teardowns where I do a live review of brand websites. We talk about what is working with your product photography, where can you make improvements, as well as some tips and strategies to go along the way. So we have Melissa here as well, who is hanging out. She is a marketing guru, and if she sees anything, she can toss it in the chat. She might speak up and tell me to stop for a second so she can give you a quick piece of advice. She's really here to provide you guys with some extra value as well. That's really the main point of this call. At the
Makes
end, if you feel like your few minutes of a review wasn't enough and you're like, I need more, we can find another time. We can schedule it outside of this call. I'm totally open to having further conversations with everyone. Depending on how many people end up jumping in, I'll be here for an hour. I'm going to be doing probably about 5 minutes roughly per website, just so I can try and get through everybody, which I know is not a whole lot of time, but I do try to get through as much as possible in that time. So, Melissa, if I do start going way over 5 minutes, you can yell at me and be like, speed it up.
sense.
Um, but yeah, so a handful of you had submitted your websites. Jordan sent it to me. Alls I had was a list of websites. I have no idea whose name goes with that website. So anyone who is here, if you want to put your website in the chat, I can open it from there and then we can make sure that I actually know who belongs to what business. Does anyone have any questions? I know I just blurted a lot out in 2 minutes.
No questions, but I've been talking to, I don't do Shopify anymore. I
Yep.
moved off in January
Okay.
and I'm working with another company who has more AI background. And I was just talking to them this week about updating my images and then this happened. So it's actually a really good time because I don't like the way my website looks and I'm trying to do a revamp. You actually helped me once before, so thank you
Perfect.
again.
Of course.
Yeah,
All right. So, Louise, since you are the first one who put it in, we will start with you. Let me open this up. No, open up a new,
thank you.
go
My
new
cat's
window
here
here.
as well.
All right, give me 2 seconds here.
So similarly, like a Jordan, I have like e-commerce where I sell emerging brands. It's not the same as his,
Yep.
but a similar kind of thing.
Oh, I remember this logo. All
Yeah,
right. This
we
was like a
have more.
year. We went over this like a year ago, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's when I was on Shopify and the company that I use now, they're a startup, so I wanted to work with them just to help them, but like and I for me to learn as well through them with the whole AI thing. So
yep.
there's definitely things I need help with 100%. So any feedback is great feedback.
All right. So remind me the premise is you get to try like samples of the different products before you
Yeah,
the whole
so
thing.
basically Join the Tribe started on a need that I saw when I was working with early stage founders where they were when you would buy their products in the beginning, right? They would sell like 8 packs, 12 packs, whatever, and they because that's how their products were being bundled for big retail. But that meant if I purchased on Amazon, I was spending 30, $60 on a product. So I started this website to sell single serve of their products. So I
Yep,
work directly with the founders and I purchase from them and I sell retail like a single unit.
perfect. So one thing that I'm going to make a comment on here, this goes for everyone. Obviously, I just typed in chips right into Amazon. Whenever you guys are all selling on Amazon, there's one main requirement. You all need to have images on white, right?
Okay.
Part of the reason Amazon requires that is for consistency. It doesn't matter when I'm scrolling through here what the chip brand is. Doesn't matter if their branding is totally different. Because everything is required to be on white, it provides a level of consistency and
Mm,
cleanness that helps with the flow of their store page, right? Doesn't matter if I jump in here and it looks totally different than anything else. But when you're scrolling through a mass amount of products, the cleanness really helps from a visual standpoint. So when
right.
we come here, that would be one thing I would tell you to recommend with the brands that you're working with is get those images on white so it's cleaner, right?
Yeah.
If they can just have one main photo, similar like this holy water, versus the icon, which has one standing and some kind of falling over. And if they're relieving anxiousness, I don't know why the bottle fell over. But that's besides the point. But that would be one big thing I would tell you for like your shop pages.
Okay.
Ask all of the brands to send you something on white. And if they can't, we can figure something out. I do the editing as well, so I can always edit the images for you to give you that consistency. But that would one really help from a visual standpoint on the store page. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
I met this brand 2 weeks ago at Fancy Food.
Yeah, Mackenzie.
Yep, she is wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, for one, going through getting all those images on white. I'm not as concerned with how each page individually looks afterwards. If you want to get picky about how your carousels get broken down, then I'd recommend this for everyone on this call. You want your first three images to usually be on white, and then four, five, six, seven, those are going to be the lifestyle photos. If brands don't have that many images, if they don't have seven, always put the images on white first and your lifestyle images second. It really helps with the cadence and the way people scroll through everything. So it'll just keep with consistency, especially if you go from snacks to condiments, right? There's still going to be a consistency behind what you have going on here. So, like, you could call Kim from Bake Me Healthy. She has more e-commerce images, right?
Yeah.
You could break this down more. She has other lifestyle photos. Um, and see, all right, what do we need to do? How do we give you a little bit more, right?
Hmm.
But from like your home page, this section, like within your little brackets here, this I feel like is you're really losing on a
Yeah.
lot of real estate here.
I told them that too. It should be that what my company is, right?
Right. We want to know like what is the company? We could show a few of the different products like maybe over on the right. But having one specific call to action and some information about what the brand is would be really helpful. So, one brand, I think it's this one. Product is over here on the right. Shop now is a really clear call to action. It's obvious that it's coffee from the photo, so I'm not upset that it doesn't say coffee right here, but they have really clear text, right? That's what I want to see here is like make it bold and make it clear what you want these people to do and why they are on this website. Does that help?
Yeah, 100%. I was thinking the same thing when they set this up.
Perfect. Yeah, so like this one is just it's a very clean way of looking at it. with text on the left, photo on the right.
Okay.
Awesome. Any questions before I go to the next person?
Yeah, I have two questions.
Yep.
One, is it okay if the images have like the ones with the white backgrounds, if they have like a shadow behind them so it looks doesn't
Yeah,
look
they
so
can have a
flat?
shadow.
Okay, and then the second question was I don't remember. I don't know. Oh yeah, sizes of images.
Yep.
Like that long image, what would some like because I know I need a whole bunch of new images on
Yep.
here and I knew that yesterday, but like what would be the sizes like I'm making this up, like the 1 to 1 and the 3 to
Yeah,
4.
so like a 1-to-1 ratio, that's a square. That's what you're going
Okay.
to be coming with more down here. It's going to be usually closer to a 1-to-1 ratio.
Okay.
Your actual hero image right here, that aspect ratio changes from website to website. So I would have to look at the back end of it, but
Okay.
you would want that to be more of a horizontal image. Before we switch, Melissa, do you have anything you want to add?
I do, yeah. Louise, I have a couple questions. So, seeing this text here, it looks like it's coming right off of a feed, some kind of dynamic content feed. I actually started my career at Google under the shopping department, so I've worked a lot with data that looks like this. And because you are, a platform trying to showcase brands in maybe a different light than, say, Google Shopping or Amazon, I was curious if there was a way you could edit some of this data so it looks like, a human went in there and polished it up. So maybe instead of the hyphens, it's, an apostrophe S and the brand or something like that. I'm just curious what capabilities your site has right now with that.
Oh yeah, I can go in there and update it.
Cool. And then also, I agree with Carrington about utilizing the hero space. So for your brand, I'd probably recommend at least an evergreen, which means all year round you can utilize this. Showcasing your brand, clear CTA button there. Um, but if you'd like, you could also think about maybe a few alternates to swap. So maybe holiday time, you can think ahead for what that hero is going to look like. And you can keep the carousel as well. So maybe one is the brand, maybe the second swipe speaks to your shipping incentive, free shipping over $35. And maybe another one is, about something else as well.
Oh, I see what you mean. So keep the carousel, but keep the front page, like the cool photo with what you do. And
Yeah.
And one thing that's not about photography at all is your list up here for your nav.
yeah,
I would move shop next. One, you don't need home because your logo links to home. Shop should be first because that's what you want people to do. You want them to shop. And then blog, gifting, and events, you could put that in your footer. And then you would clean up your nav telling people exactly what to do. They don't have to think as much.
put in the footer? I'm sorry, gift events and
I was saying if you want to clean this up, you could put blog, gifting, and events in your footer for your nav, and that would clean up what's being seen up here, telling people exactly where to go.
okay.
All right.
Cool. Thank you guys.
Of course. Is Dave still here?
I'm here.
All right, Dave. I don't think we've met yet.
Hi,
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So, new brand for me. I have not heard of you guys before. So,
Yeah.
we're going to go into this one a little bit blind. So when we come here, the first thing that I'm seeing is depending on your screen size, if you have a bigger screen, this might work. Because I'm on a smaller monitor, it doesn't, where I have to actually scroll to figure out, see like the rest of your text and your call to action. I don't know how much control you have if this is a template to make that a little smaller so you don't have to scroll to get to your call to action. But
Hmm.
that's a side note, not necessarily about photography. When we come here to your photography, one thing that you're doing really well throughout is using ingredients. I love that you're using a ton of ingredients to show more information about the product. The one thing I'm really struggling with is how much you're using and how it's kind of being laid out. So when you want to show ingredients, you don't ever want to take away from your product. The product, you want that to be the forefront and make sure that's not getting lost. So great job using ingredients, but I do feel like your product is getting a little bit lost here. So, because I don't really necessarily know what I'm looking at, right? Um, when we jump in, this website's very different when it comes to like how this kind of carousel, I'm putting the carousel now in quotes, because it's more of a masonry kind of layout for how your images are working. How much control do you have over this page?
I'm sure I can change it.
Because it's a lot to look at, right?
Yeah, it's busy.
So, like when we're going through, just pulling one back up here, we want to see, obviously you have your typical carousel where you can
Yeah.
scroll through, but the one nice thing, there's different types you can use. You're looking at one photo at a time. When we have it kind of more hodgepodge together, where we've got your image with your ingredients, and then we've got kind of like the graphic overlays. I don't necessarily know what to look at. And we have a ton of text over here, right? So, one thing I tell all my brands, this text that's over here on the right, whether it's on your Shopify site, your Amazon page, I don't care where you're selling, you're always going to have text over on the right. What is the main information that a customer needs to know in this text? Because we want to be able to say we can educate from that in your imagery. If no one reads a single word on the right side, does the imagery educate them enough to say, I want to add to cart? Right? So right now, I feel like this page is really busy. I don't know where to look. So if we can clean it up and make it a little bit simpler, it's going to be a smoother process going forward. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So same thing here. You do have a lot of consistency with like the way you've really created these graphics. I like that it's not a whole lot of text, right? So it's easy if it's punchy. So that's working well. We just want to make it so the product stands out more, right? Product is always going to want to be the front and center. Coming back to what I was saying before when we were on the last site is you have none of those e-commerce images on white. And I know they're boring. Everyone thinks they're boring. I get it. They're still really important from a sales aspect, and you also can reuse them. So there's a good chance that potentially this image here that you went with the graphic, that was an e-commerce on white, and you can superimpose it with your graphics. So you might have them, and you're just using them in a different way. Not entirely sure what you have for like your back end. Oh, here we go. Here's some of them. But something like this. Obviously, it's photoshopped and it's kind of clipped out.
Hmm.
It
Yeah, that was the Canva
doesn't
one.
look good, right? If we want to be a premium brand and look that way, we want to have those premium photos. So we had all the other ones where you had the product and all the ingredients, but it looked legit. It looked like one photo. I would say keep those over keeping something like this, where it feels photoshopped and hodgepodge together, because that's going to degrade on the quality of how your brand feels from an external point of view, right? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
But I like where you're going with it and what you're trying to do. A photo like this, redo it. So it's very distorted, it's dark, and the lighting isn't great. There's a lot I could go into there if I had more time. But consistency. is going to be one of your biggest things that we need to hone in on. From store page to store page, so product page like this one, going back to the other two we looked at, we want that consistency. So we want to be able to say, hey, when we come here, we know we're going to see 7 photos. We know what the first images are going to be, that they're going to be the e-commerce, and then we're going to get to the lifestyle. And they're going to have a specific cadence because it helps with customer trust when you go from one product to the next that you already are expecting something. And if they go from saying, hey, let's shop the hot sauce, and then we went over to the American Dream and it looks totally different, subconsciously it's kind of like, oh, what's happening? This isn't what I was expecting. So consistency across your imagery goes a long way from a sales aspect.
Can I ask a question about
Yeah.
that? So I had not really thought about that. So having the same number of photos per product,
Yep.
you think plays into the
Yes.
psyche? Okay, interesting. So if you don't have a lot of photos, or would you say like if you have one product that has a bunch, like it'd be better just to go with three? If you have three for every product, better to go with a
Yeah.
smaller number consistently?
Yeah, unless it's your bestseller. You could add
Uh-huh.
a few more for your bestseller if you needed more than 3. I don't recommend going over 7. The reason being, most people don't want to keep scrolling. So that image
Mhm.
that's number 12, you're gonna have a fraction of your audience who will actually see that. But you have a really high chance for them to scroll through the first 7. So that's kind of the sweet spot number where I like all my brands to be because it just works. Um, but if you don't have that, you want to at least make sure that the orientation is. So like, all right, when they come in, they're always going to see that e-com on white image first, and then they're going to jump into the lifestyle photos, right? So keeping that cadence at least consistent would be really helpful. Does that answer your question?
Mhm.
I just want to add to that. If you're on TikTok, though, the minimum, there's a requirement of 5. So front and back is musts. If
Yep.
not, you have a fair or low viewing rate they give you.
Right. So not every platform's going to have the same requirements.
Right.
Right here, I'm assuming, Dave, this is a Shopify site.
Yeah.
All right, so they're allowing him to just have 2 here. But if we go back over to the bar sauce, he's got 5, right? That's not a restriction. He can kind of do whatever he wants. When you're going to go over to TikTok or to other platforms, they may have different rules that you need to follow. But if you keep with the same consistency to say, hey, this is how we're gonna, they need your front, the back, and then you can go to lifestyle, do that for anything you have on that site.
How important are lifestyle photos? Because, having your first three and then you said 4 to 7, there's more lifestyle photos than other photos. Um,
Right. So your first three, 1, 2, 3, ecom, usually you're gonna have your front, your back, and depending on what the product is, you might have your nutrition facts. It could showing it open, being poured. There's a lot of different ways you can go with that third photo. And it also depends on how your packaging looks. Numbers 4, 5, 6, 7, that's going to be your lifestyle. That's when you want to show the product in use, ingredient photos, show it in a hand. Like for you with hot sauce, I would be like, show it being poured onto some food. Show it in a hand because then you're going to get more of a scale, right?
mhm.
What are those types of images that we can be creating that will really drive home more information about your product?
Would you recommend,
Level.
say I have a photo with the hand pouring the sauce, uh, and this bar sauce right here, can I
Hmm.
use that same lifestyle photo for any of the flavors? Does it, I mean, obviously it's best to have, the specific flavor in that lifestyle photo on its listing, right? But what if I have just,
Ideally, that
yeah,
would, if that is possible to do and have the specific brand or product with the same SKU, that's ideal. If it's not, you can mix them in, right? But making sure that at least your beginning ones are associated with the correct flavor.
yeah.
Because then once you get to the lifestyle imagery, you do have a little bit more freedom. So you can get away with it, but as the brand grows, you would want to end up eventually cycling those out.
Mhm.
Does that help?
Oh yeah.
You have any questions before I switch to the next one?
No questions. Thank
Alrighty.
you.
Of course. Can I get into this or no?
Hi.
I don't know how to say I'm not sure how to pronounce your first name.
Hi, yeah, my name's Simrat.
Different.
You can, I think that the one that I'm editing right now is the one associated with that. You can put in the password. It's intern, capital I, 2022.
There we
So this,
go.
yeah, so this website is a draft right now. I'm working on changing it because originally I was going to be direct to consumer and now I'm going to be strictly available in retail locations.
Okay.
And it's not on the shelves yet, which is why I don't have product pictures on here yet. But I wanted to actually change this website so that I could start to like bring some hype before the launch.
Mm-hmm. So you're gonna be strict, you said you're strictly retail, we're not gonna sell online.
Correct.
Okay. So would this shop page be removed?
Well, on the main page, I have the bottles as well, and it says you can choose a store to see local availability, but yeah, I would probably remove the shop page. Although I did write like a couple things, because if a retailer comes onto my website, I want them to be able to reach out to me for potential, of working together. So right now I have fast Canada-wide shipping, but I realize that that can be a little bit confusing.
Yep. All right. So a little bit different since we're going from this site doesn't isn't necessarily finished yet. But also Melissa, you're welcome to jump in on this one because there's less imagery on it. But we would really think about like your nav here, making that really clear as to what do you want somebody to do when they come onto the website. Do you want the retailers to be able to figure out how to access the product from a wholesale perspective, or what is the point? What do you want them to do when they come here? That's number one. And then two, we're going to want to think about like, all right, your hero photo is going to be really important to say, all right, what is this product? Similar to what I was saying when we looked at the logo, right? Having a really punchy photo in the beginning, but making your text on the left very clear with a very obvious call to action on what people are doing on the website is going to be really important. Melissa, do you have anything to add to that?
I agree. I think having an image that kind of showcases your brand, so that when people go there, it's also a differentiator too. So why are they coming here versus another drink? And it gives you an opportunity to speak to kind of the premium level of the brand, any ingredients that you want to feature. And I agree as well that it's a good location to have that.
So when we say drastic drink for a worry-free tomorrow, is this like an after you drink kind of drink? Like, so you're not hungover? Is this like an anti-hangover thing? Like, what is the product?
Yeah, so it's a supplemented hydration beverage. Hangovers is one of the things that it helps with, but it can help with jet lag, just a general boost throughout the day. But the point is that it's supposed to be a beverage that has a good crossover between clean ingredients and good flavor.
Awesome. So I would definitely say making that really clear is going to be important. When I see for a worry-free tomorrow, I instantly went from it's like a drinking beverage for hangovers or something along those lines. So being really clear about what the product is and what its use cases are is also going to be something very important.
What was that website that the coffee website that you were showing earlier?
Yep,
Okay.
Loco Coffee.
Okay.
I use this one a lot just because it is so clear.
Yeah, I guess like most of my questions were with regard to the aesthetics portion of my website. I wanted to look like more of a luxury brand.
Mhm.
That's why I'm going for more like neutrals, but then I also find that it looks kind of bland. So I'm not sure if you have any recommendations for that.
It's hard to say with only seeing the website in progress right now. Having some punchier photos is really going to help set you apart, even if you have more subtle kind of color schemes. Because you do have the black, which does punch with this kind of like peachish sort of color. Um, but without seeing more of the imagery, it's kind of hard for me to say at this stage in the website.
You could also potentially have a different colored font. So if you have neutrals for that luxe feel, maybe having a blue font might help get that punchy feel as well.
Okay.
And then anything else? Do you have any questions on anything else?
Yeah, I guess like my main focus would be for the consumers to learn a bit about the product and where it may become available. But because I want to make this website live before I get it into the stores, I don't really know how to specify like other than saying it's out soon and it's going to be in stores. Like right now, that current store locations area is completely blank.
Right.
I don't know if that makes things confusing.
It would be confusing to go to a blank page. It does open up to this, but
Yeah.
you can also do it as like a call to action. So like you could have try drastic drink and you could have a second button that says where to find us or find your local store or something like that to tell people, hey, you want to go in store and buy it. This is where your store finder is. Does that
Yeah.
answer your question?
Kind of. Like I'm just wondering what's the best way to do it before launch?
I like also utilizing the pop up for that for pre launch. You know, you can collect somebody's email address and then guide them through maybe an email funnel talking about potential locations or maybe asking them for their zip code or getting some kind of survey out like that.
Okay.
That would be a good idea. Thank you, Melissa.
Of course.
This is why she's here.
I do have one at the very bottom to collect emails, but would you suggest then for that to be a pop-up?
Definitely. You know, I see that all the time. That the one at the bottom is helpful if somebody really is taking the time to go through your website, but pop up is right in someone's face and they usually have to click out. And that's a good place if you eventually want to do some kind of discount or, you know, incentive with purchase or free shipping, like the other website. That's a good place to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. And then Dave, Melissa put a comment in the chat for you. I forgot to ask her for feedback before I jumped on to the next brand. Melissa, if you want, you can just do that really quick. You want to talk about that really
Yeah,
quick before I go to the
sure.
pull the
Um, I wrote, this is my first time seeing these websites, but I'm seeing a lot of positive things on the Culture Hot Sauce site. I like the personalized touch of the flame on the shopping cart at checkout. I like the ingredients in the photos. Just be mindful of the overlays on the images in the Elevate Your Dish. That was that scrolling carousel at the bottom. When you're hovering, some of the overlays aren't consistently placed, so the spice level kind of blocks the text there. And then, similar to what Carrington said about text consistency, I would probably keep it shorter as well, consistent on each product page. Ingredient text is great there. You know, people are looking for that information, but if you want to reduce it, language like characteristically strong and those kind of bullets, I'd probably cut that section out and just, you know, keep it really punchy to what the consumer might be looking for. And to me, it would be, you know, on anybody's site, ingredients, health benefits,
Mhm.
any kind of press buzz, something like that, that someone's really looking for.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, Melissa, you can yell at me if I go too fast. All right, Marlena, are you still here?
Yes, I am the summer intern for Teresa, the owner of Sugar Bliss.
Awesome.
And I guess just off the bat, I one thing I noticed when I was just now like looking as well, based on like some things you said, but I was playing around with the window size and it doesn't have the like responsive web design element, which I feel like it like on my phone it
Mhm.
looks normal and on the laptop it looks normal, but if I reduce the window, it doesn't adjust to it,
Right.
which is one thing for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely something I would look into. So it's more responsive. That should be an easy fix if this is especially a template. Um,
Hmm.
there should be a way to kind of, I think you should be able to just like turn on the responsiveness to it. Melissa,
Okay.
am I wrong on that?
Depends on how the website's structured. Like if it's heavily coded, maybe connect with a web developer or someone. But there should be, a simple way to set that up.
Hmm.
Sweet. All right. So when we come here, one thing that I like that I'm seeing is we've got a bold and punchy photo in the back, and then your text is on a white block. So it's allowing the text to be separated from the image, but it's not also too much. So I
Hmm.
think it's a really nice like balance where I'm not having to scroll, similar to when we came here to the culture hotspots. What I was saying before is I have to scroll down to get to the shop now. When I come back here to yours, all the buttons are right there. I don't have to think, I don't have to scroll, it's just there. So that's one thing that I think is done really well. I would instantly assume that you are a baking company, a cupcake company, something to do with the sweets, right? So there's not a
Yes.
whole lot of question that I'm going to have when I come to this website right away. So I like the little overlays. When we scroll down here, I was on your site earlier. There's a lot of information here. We've got season specials, summer specials, corporate gifts. Then we have the bakery. We have a lot happening, right? So my question is, what do you want somebody to do on this website? Do you want
Uh,
to tell them about the season specials, or do you want them to go in and start just making a purchase of cupcakes, right? What's
mhm.
that like primary action you want them to take? Because it's a lot of information here to really be
Okay.
gathering.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think what makes it a little bit hard is that we have three segments we operate in. So there's the like more like smaller corporate orders of either like in-store orders or website orders that go to like corporate offices in Chicago. And then we have or like I don't know, like birthday parties, smaller events like that.
Yep.
Then we have our CPG line, which is when you scroll down the sealed stable shelf stable cookies. Um, and then those are like launching in stores right now. So it's in Walgreens and it's launching in Mariana's at the end of August. And then our third segment is more, this isn't as much through the website, I guess, but it's like partnerships with big corporations like the Bears or McCormick Center and stuff like that. But I think the website is, I guess, more for those customers that are looking for um corporate orders or event orders and like personal orders as well.
Definitely, like it makes sense. I just want to figure out how do we make it, because if I came up here and I didn't decide that I want to continue scrolling to learn more, I would
Hmm.
probably leave. If I'm just like, I want cupcakes or I want something specific, I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm not looking for corporate gifts, right? So can we put it in the nav, or can we like kind of simplify the homepage a little bit? That would be one thing for me. But from an image standpoint, I do think you have some good consistency going with what you have with these nav photos. And like kind of the layout of it, I think is done really well and it's really clean.
Hmm.
When we start scrolling down here, it's funny because it kind of works, but it also feels a little messy. But it's not to the point where I would say scrap everything, right? My biggest concern with all of these photos is that not all of them fit in the frame. So chocolate milk, chocolate cupcake, that fits. You're not cutting off any of the product.
Mhm.
When we get to the vanilla, we're cutting it off. We would want to figure out how do we fit that into the frame.
Yeah,
A big difference between like black and white and velvet, the main cupcake here, that fits the frame. And you've got some in the background that are cut off, and that's fine because it's not the main focus. Where you kind of are trying to make that same picture here for the red velvet, but it's not fitting properly, right? So you want red velvet to mimic what you're doing with the black and white so it's not getting cut off. Do you see that?
I see. And like for the vanilla cupcake, for example, like
Yep.
could I also choose to do pictures only in that way, or would you say only showing like the full, or like the entirety of one cupcake?
So depending if you do want to get a little more creative with your ecom photos and have something in the background, the black and white cupcake is the strongest out of all of them, or this chocolate milk cupcake, because you're not cutting the product off, right?
I see.
When we get into all these different layouts, that's where we're getting into that lack of consistency and having it be a little bit more confusing as to what are we looking at. Um,
Okay.
if we can make it so like down here, you're a little bit more consistent with the angles. This one's a little bit
Hmm.
higher, but like these two feel fairly consistent with your angles and the lighting, right?
Yeah.
They're very different than what you have going up here. So
And
you can use all of these photos like in your carousels, but when we come to the overall store page, we want that consistency, similar to when I pulled up Amazon and I looked up chips. We want that
mhm.
consistency throughout all of it, so it's really obvious what you're looking at and what you'd be purchasing.
Okay. And what do you think about the like border on the product, like how they displayed on this page?
Like this black one,
Yeah.
doesn't bother me at all.
Okay. And you said in terms of cleaning up the like or like simplifying the homepage in terms of making the decision for the user, I guess, easier. How would you go about the simplification there?
Yeah, so I guess one question would be what is the best seller and what is the number one thing you want a customer to do when they come to this website? That is a question that you would know the answer to better than me, but that's
Mhm.
what you really want to be driving home. You can still have see all this information just laid out in a different fashion, but providing them with an avenue on where to go and what you want them to do would be really helpful. Do
Okay.
you have a layout suggestion, Melissa?
Yeah, I had a couple notes actually. And again, I'm just looking for the first time. I was thinking that the nav bar, there could be some rearranging.
Yep.
Maybe, and again, I would want to take a little bit more time, but maybe combining the products with the order now, like Carrington said, somebody wants to come here and make that decision. So it could be a combination of the pages. So maybe order products is one piece of the nav bar listing the various types, and they could either do local or in-store pickup or nationwide shipping. um, Find a store makes sense. I would probably put the events and services as maybe one of the later ones. um, and then as far as the actual hero, just one call out here, and it's my pet peeve with any design, is the padding. So I like to think of padding as equals professional. So if you see there's an unequal padding above Sugar Bliss logo and then
Yeah.
below order nationwide shipping. So just being mindful of that. It could, be a super simple fix, but it looks a little bit more polished.
Right.
Mhm.
Um, and then I like that you group gluten free and vegan together. I eat gluten free, so I think that's always smart. And with any product too, just extrapolating that advice, grouping like products together, because if somebody's finding something, they might be more interested in a similar product as well.
Hmm.
I have a question
Yep.
related. So if, because you were saying in on the homepage that there was a lot of story, different things going on. Like if you had to say, like if you had a company that had the most interesting story in the world, would you still say right under the hero have the option to shop as the first thing people see and then go into any extra?
You mean having the CTA of shop in the hero?
Well, like for example, um, there's the hero and then there's seasonal specials, like the option to see products and buy it immediately, as opposed to there being a section below the hero that talks about the amazing story of who you are.
I think it can vary, right? Like if you have a really awesome story, and that could be, a module right below the hero. So just for example, if it's Valentine's Day, right? And you want to have Valentine's Day special in your hero, and then, click to shop. And then right below that, you want to have more of an evergreen message about who you are and the founder story. That's absolutely fair to do. Would you agree, Carrington, or do you have a
Yeah.
different opinion?
No, I mean, I definitely think if you have a good story, you can put it on the homepage. I wouldn't necessarily say put it right front and center. I would say it's like your third tier down at
Mm.
least, because you want somebody to come here to buy the product. If
Mm-hmm.
they're interested in the product, they're going to be interested in your story, right? If you meet somebody face to face, that story is going to be way easier to drive home, right? So there's like a few different ways you can look at it. I don't think there's anything to say don't put the story on the homepage. Just as long
Oh
as
yeah,
it's,
I meant
yeah.
like as opposed to that. So like they've got Sugar Bliss and seasonal specials. I've been internally fighting wanting story there, and then my partner's like, no, go straight to product, put story down below, no matter what.
Yeah, I think also
But,
to your point, what is nice about having a story somewhat visible, even if it's a little further down, which makes sense, it's a way to differentiate your brand, right? So, we're looking at Sugar Bliss. I like that you can see it's female and minority owned. Maybe that would be something to include in like the third or fourth module here to again have a place to differentiate the products too, not just, tout your brand and the story.
Does that help?
mhm.
All right. Marlena, do you have any other questions on this? Or was that
I think no, I think that was helpful feedback. Thank you.
awesome? And then Louise said the cupcakes look amazing if you didn't see that comment.
Yeah, come try them.
All right, and then we have Shelly, is that correct?
Yeah, it's Shelly. Hey,
Shelly,
Carrington.
Shelly. All right. I was
You
like,
met
I
my
might butcher
friend
this one as well.
Oh, no. Thanks for asking. Yeah, you met my friend Zoe and Kelton
Yep.
from Ecom North. Yeah, so I just wanted to say hey and meet you. But also I work with Ecom North. Like I'm the community manager, but then I also like doing food photography on the side.
Okay.
So I own a brand, but I do work with brands with Ecom North, but also I take pictures. So I shared my Behance and just wanted to ask you guys advice on like how I can grow that because I'm mostly a pet photographer. Like I do pets, but I also love taking pictures of food because I love food and I love like supporting local restaurants and local
Yep.
brands. Yeah. I sent you my Behance. It's the second link.
Yep. Are you seeing it up here?
No, but it might just be
Is
my
anyone
screen.
else seeing my screen?
Yes, I see
Yeah,
it.
it is.
So
Okay,
everyone,
okay, I see it. Yeah.
okay, there we go. I was like, wait,
See
I don't
it.
know what I'm doing wrong here.
Sorry, my bad.
All right, so just like so you're just looking for some photography feedback. Not,
Yeah.
yep, that right?
Yes.
Okay. So if we just go quickly through, we've got this first one here. I have no issues with that photo. It's well lit. It shows a human and a pet touch. It's a cute photo. When we get here, this looks more like kind of like iPhoneography. We
Yeah.
could make it a little, I would say, if anything, when you're editing, make it brighter. It feels underexposed to me.
Gotcha.
And then we've got this kind of Photoshop style image,
Yeah.
which the whole point is to be showing the ingredients that I'm assuming are in the pet food.
Yes, correct.
Um, if you can show the pet food, that would be nice. And then also like like it kind of feels like you could make it so the avocado is kind of flying, but it's really obvious that the seeds are laid on a table. So you've got
Yeah.
a ton of different angles and kind of positionings to work with. So like that would be something to look into if you want to make it a little bit nicer, but it is a photoshopped image. So my biggest thing with that is that it's edited properly and it looks fine. Like right now your clipping is I don't have any issues with the clipping, and the lighting is fine. Everything is bright.
Gotcha. Okay.
When we come down here, we're looking at, we've got the hand holding the bag. This goes back to, I think I was talking with Dave saying using hands, bring in kind of like a human element to it. It's always helpful because it just help people connect with people, right? So that's a nice touch. The hand feels like the brightest part of the photo. So when you
Mhm.
look at an image, your eye is always going to go to the brightest part of the picture, and then it's going to navigate through the rest. So I would say just make this part a little bit bigger where the bag is,
Right.
so it pops a little bit more.
Gotcha.
But I do like kind of like the composition on how it's being held. But yeah, no, I would definitely just make it a little bit bigger.
Gotcha.
When we come over here, so we've got these kind of like little patty things.
Mhm.
I like the layout of it. I would say either add a ton more crumbs or get rid of the crumbs.
Yeah. Because it just
You're in a weird spot where you're like they're kind of there, but there's really no purpose for them. So it's either like drive it home and all right, we've got the crumbs, we're showing the texture, or you show it being broken in half and that's why the crumbs are there, or just get rid of them and make it a really clean image.
I
that's
also thought it was cookie dough.
that's fair. Yeah. It
Like I
does look
totally thought it was cookie dough.
does look like cookie dough.
I did read the bottom before I spoke, but like it kind of nicely flows and like you've got this little teetering part. So I think like the composition works and it's not like a static stack, right? It's got movement to it, which I really like.
Thanks, Carrington.
Yep. This one, I have no real issues with that. You've got a cute cat here. He's well
Thank you.
lit. But yeah, does that kind of give you what you were looking for?
Very helpful. Thank you for your time.
Of course. Is there anyone else here who would like a review? She was the last one that got posted.
I have some general
Of
questions.
course.
If there's, I was too, did not want to review because I'm redoing things.
That's
But
okay.
anyhow, I won't go to the whole background. But in our case, we've got this big story. We're like the only made at origin coffee available in the United States. But the point is I just feel completely I can like coffee photos, everybody does the same thing, like a package and like what are the ingredients? Obviously coffee. And so I'm trying to figure out, and when we don't have a big, photography budget and we're in Nicaragua, it's a little complicated. But the question is, I'm hearing like hands. I mean, you gave some really nice formula, kind of like if I just wanted to go and like populate with some better photos, um, do you have any like tried and true things like you don't have to recreate the wheel? I mean, on white, but maybe like hand holding is. I'm always like, oh, but what's the hand going to look like? But I get it sounds like in your experience, it's been a positive.
So hands are a great addition for a handful of reasons. Pun not intended. But one, it provides scale. So if you're gonna go and buy something, like I have my phone here, I can tell based on me holding it how big that phone is. Have you ever
Hmm.
purchased something on Amazon and you're just like, that is not what I expected?
Hmm.
I bought these ice cream cones I needed for a photo shoot once. They were mini. They were
Hmm.
literally this big. And I was like,
Hmm.
what am I supposed to do with this? I was expecting like a full ice cream cone. And that's
Yeah.
because I did not read, which goes back to what I said to Dave. If no one reads the description, will they still buy the product and get what they want? Right? So
Hmm.
adding scale, like using a hand to add scale, but it also just adds a human touch. So if you can have different hands and diversity, it allows you to connect more and it feels more lifestyle rather than just saying, hey, here's the product, right? It provides a lot more information than just a static product image.
I would say maybe somebody sipping coffee,
Yep.
you
You could
know.
have it in the background. You could have it next to a mug. Granted, mugs are different sizes, but you kind of get the rough idea of like,
Well, I think that's the thing. I'm just like hesitant about faces, although part of the whole model is that we create employment here, of like the people drinking coffee. And so I'm thinking of a product because what I'm also getting is I feel like the product should be in every photo for the
yes.
most part.
Yep.
And so like if you're sipping, if you had like, how do people do that? They put somebody sipping and then the product is somewhere like forefront.
Yeah. It could be on a counter, on the table, somewhere within the photo.
It's like
And
maybe a person in the background.
put your logo on the mug of them sipping it. I would
Yeah.
crank the
Oh, that's a nice
AC.
idea.
I would crank the AC so that the warm coffee, you get a little steam off of it, like a
Mm-hmm.
visible steam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was
The other
also
thing I
thinking,
was
Too.
thinking, oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking, like, I'm not a coffee drinker at all, but I know there's so many different types of coffee out there, like darkness, light, and stuff like that. Like, kind of like what I said to Dave, which is like what's the strength of the coffee. So people who like really like strong, like the barometer thing,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good thing as well. Um, like for him, the hot sauce, like how hot is hot, and then for you, like the richness of the roast.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking also of like the mechanism used if you're using like a pour over or, a pot
Hmm.
brewing the coffee, something that's not just the beans. And then also, I know I was chatting with an organic tea farm brand, having photos of that, because that's a differentiator. So, again, thinking, how are you different than other brands? So maybe you do include, the location where you're sourcing from in some capacity.
I guess this is kind of the question is that it's like we're in Nicaragua, we do everything here ourselves, right? And so it's like every single coffee company in the world puts like a photo of the coffee, a cup, a mechanism, and then they've got some cute picture of a farmer they don't know. And so I guess the question is, does it like, is that actually the point? If they're on your website, even though the photos kind of might be similar of other coffee companies, they're on your website and you still need them. Like that's kind of what I'm hearing, that maybe you just need a
I see what you
prep.
mean. Yeah, I think Carrington's point earlier, like, utilizing the photo so people know what they're looking at without just looking at the text. So, having those images and maybe yours are better quality than a competitor,
Hmm.
or maybe, the beans from another brand are not made in Nicaragua, even though they're, they want to have a photo. So I think, maybe having an image that says locally sourced in Nicaragua or the name of the farm or the name of that can speak to the credibility as well.
So still a little text.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
We
Thanks.
are at
Yeah.
time. So there is a link in the chat. If anyone wants a more in-depth review, you can book a time. Melissa, you're welcome to put your info in the chat as well.
I did. Yes. Thank you so much, Carrington. This was
Of
great.
course, definitely. It was
Yeah, I really
amazing
appreciate it.
having all of you guys here. And if you guys need more help or if you go through this and you make changes on your website and you say, hey, Carrington, can you take another look? Did I do this right? Just email me. I will answer. I will hop on a Zoom with you. I am not picky. I'm not going to be like, I'm not the person who's going to be like, you need to charge, I'm going to charge you for it. I will help you. My goal is to actually help you guys increase your imagery so you improve your imagery so you can increase your sales. That is my goal. And if I can help you guys do it, just ask.
Thank you.
So my link is in the chat and we will go from there.
Thanks.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. Have a good one.